Hello everyone, welcome to class today. We're going to be looking at functions in spreadsheet, specifically sum, average, minimum, maximum, date, count, and counter function. Like I mentioned before, the software we're going to be looking at is Microsoft Excel. Let me go right ahead and share my screen. I went ahead and I typed some information here. So we have some random students' names, their math grade, English grade, science grade, and Spanish grade. Now, the first thing I normally do is to format my spreadsheet. So I'm going to highlight everything, all the information here, and I'm going to change it to Times New Roman because I normally present my documents in Times New Roman and size 12. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bold my headings. I'm going to click on the number 1 here to bold everything in row 1. So I'm going to click on the number 1 and select the option that says bold. All right. So now we have our spreadsheet and it's ready to be to put our functions and formulas in the spreadsheet. Now, what if your teacher asks you to calculate the total for each student's grades? All right, so we're going to put in a new column called total grades. To do the total grades column, we're going to do what we consider a sum function, because the sum function is used to calculate the total of numbers, and we want to find out the total of all the students' grade. So for Ray Baker, we want to calculate the total for his math, English, science, and Spanish grades. Now, when you're doing functions in spreadsheet, we normally start with an equal sign. So the first thing I'm going to type in my cell, G2 cell, I'm going to type my equal sign. Now, the sum function, we're going to type SUM, open bracket. And what I can do, I can say C2 plus D2 plus E2 plus F2. Now that is a lot of typing to do, and sometimes by typing it we make mistake, right? So another way of doing the sum function is to not to type all of these cells, but what we can do actually is to use the range of cells. So instead of typing the cells, I will open my bracket and then I'll highlight the range of cells. After highlighting the range of cells, I close my bracket. Once you open a bracket when you're doing a function or formula, you must close the bracket. So I'm going to press enter. Now, I can go ahead and I can type it again for this one, for Kane. We want to find out the total for Kane's grades, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say equal SUM, open bracket, and instead of typing C3 plus D3 plus E3 plus F3, what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to highlight the cells and create a range. Remember, in our previous class, we mentioned that a range is a group of cells, and the range is named using what? The first cell and the last cell. So this range here is named C3 to F3 because it starts at C3 and it ends at F3. Now I'm going to close my bracket. Now, what if we were looking at a spreadsheet with over 1,000 names? To go through and write the functions in all the cells come straight down is going to be tiring. An easy way to do this is to pull your functions down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to the right bottom corner of my cell with the function in it, and I'm going to wait until my cursor changes to a plus sign, and then I'm going to pull the cursor down. And if you can see, it automatically fills the rest of cells. Now let us just click on one of the cells to verify that the information is the same. You can see that it automatically fills the functions in as it comes down. So you can see this one says equal sum, and it's not saying C3, it is now saying C7, and it's going to be saying 7. So this range here is from C7 to F7. So once you fill the function in, it automatically makes the change to the cell referencing. All right, so we're gonna move on to another column. Say your teacher asks you to calculate the student's average. All right, so we're gonna create a new column called average. Right? So in this cell, in cell H2, I'm going to calculate Ray Baker's average. To calculate the average or the mean for this student, I am going to add their math grade, their English grade, their science grade, and their Spanish grade. To do that, I'm going to use what we consider an average function. To do the average function, I'm going to start with an equal sign. I'm going to type the word average. I'm going to open my bracket. And like I said before, you can always go ahead and put in the cells 1, 1, but the easier way to do it is to highlight the range of cells. Remember, do not put the total grade in it because it will give you a wrong average. You want to calculate average, normally we add the numbers together and then divide it by the amount. But we don't have to go through that stress. Welcome to technology world where the computer does all the calculation for us, right? And this is why I really consider the functions to be very effective, because as human we make mistakes. Sometimes we are calculating things and we make an error, a transpositional error, or any form of error. With the computer, or typographical error to say, with the computer, we can always rely on the efficiency and accuracy if we enter the data correct. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and close my formula. Once I open the bracket, I close the bracket and I press enter. Look at that. The average was calculated for me. I did not have to go ahead and add the numbers together, divide the numbers and so forth. It was done for me offhand. I'm going to go again. I don't have to do it, but I'm going to go again and show you how to get the average function because I want you to be able to do it independently. Now, I'm going to press the equal sign, then I'm going to type the word average, then I'm going to open my bracket, and then I'm going to highlight all the cells that contains the information for Mario Kane. And then I'm going to close my bracket and I'm going to press enter on my keyboard. By doing that, I automatically created the average for Mario Kane. Now, I don't have to do it for the other cells. Once I do it for one, I don't need to do it again, but I do it again just know so you can have repetition. Repetition helps to create learning or facilitates learning. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come to the bottom of my cell and wait until my cursor turns to a plus sign, and I'm going to drag it down. By dragging it down, it automatically fills the cells with the average function. So these are the average for all the students that are here. So far we have looked at sum and average function. The next thing I'm going to be looking at today is the minimum and maximum. What if your math teacher wants to find out which student did get the highest grade in the class and which students got the lowest grade in math class? What the teacher can use is a minimum and maximum function. So for the minimum function, we want to find out who get the minimum math grade. So like I said before, all functions and formulas start with an equal sign. So I'm going to start with my equal sign, and I'm not going to type out the word minimum. I'm just going to type MIN for min, right? And then I'm going to open my bracket, and I'm going to highlight my range of cells and close my bracket and press enter. And as we can see here, the lowest grade or the minimum grade is 23. We can just go ahead and look in this to verify the information. See, the computer did do it accurate without making a mistake. Now, I'm going to type it again for accuracy because I want you guys to see exactly what is going on here. So I'm going to say, let us calculate the minimum grade for English. So we're going to start with our equal sign and MIN, open bracket, and then we're going to highlight the cells and close the bracket. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the function over just like I did before. Once we have it in the same line, the same row, or in the same column, we can always automatically fill. I wouldn't advise you do it over a diagonal range. So what we can do here is to drag it over. So I'm going to come to the right corner of the cell, and I'm going to pull the function over. And there we go. We have the minimum grade for each subject area. So by looking at this now, you can see that students are doing way less in the maths, because this student got 23. And in other subjects such as the Spanish, the science, you can see where the minimum grade is 65. So the students are doing way better in science than they're doing in math. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same thing for the maximum function. The maximum function now, instead of typing maximum or typing the word maximum, we're going to type MAX for max. So we're going to say equal MAX, open brackets, and then we're going to do the same procedure. We want to find out the maximum grade for math. So we're going to highlight all the math grade, and then we're going to close our bracket and press enter. And there we have it. The maximum grade for mathematics is 98, and we can just go through to verify to see that the information is correct. Let me do the same thing again, just for repetition. All right, so I'm going to type equal, and I'm going to type MAX, open bracket, and highlight my range of cells and close bracket and press enter. There we go. The maximum grade for English is 77. Instead of typing in all the others, say for instance, we have about 10 other subject areas, that will be so much work to type in. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull my function over by coming to the lower right section of the cell, wait until my cursor turns to a plus sign, and then I'm going to pull it over. There we have the minimum grade. Now, what I'm going to do now is to count the amount of students that are in this class. We can use a function called the count function to count the number of cells, right? But once it does not contain number or dates, we cannot just use the count function. We have to use what we consider the counta function, or some people will call it the count A function. All right, so this is how it works. So I'm going to say total number of our total students. That's a long, let's just say total students. All right, for shortening. So we can just look at this and count it, because I mean, it's just what, 6 students here. But what if we have a list of over thousands of students? It will be so tiring to go through and count all of those names. So what the computer has done is create a predefined function called count. And sometimes we use the counter function to use it. So like I said before, the counter is used when it is words that are in the cells. But once there are numbers or dates, we can use the count function. So right now, I'm going to count the amount of students that are here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put the answer here. So I'm going to say equal count, because I'm going to be using the names. And then I'm going to open my bracket, and then I'm going to highlight the cells, and I'm going to close my bracket. And there we go. So we can see that the total students is 6. The total number of students is 6. And we can literally count here to see that it's 6 students that are here. But like I said, this function is way effective if you have a large number of data or a large number of information on your table. and it's going to be really hard to count. So you can use the counter to count the information. And the next function that we're going to be looking at is the date function. I'm going to insert a row at the top because I like when the date is at the top. I'm going to insert a row at the top. To insert the row, I'm going to click on the first cell, which is the first row, which is row 1. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to select the option called insert. There we have it. I'm going to put the date right up here at the top. To put the date, we're going to use a date function. If we wanted to put today's date, we could use a no function or a today function to put the date up here. But for the CXC syllabus, it focuses mainly on the date function. So I'm going to put the date function up here. To start the date function, I'm going to say equal date, open brackets, and it asks me for the year. If you look good, it asks me for the year. So I'm going to say 2020, and I'm going to use a comma to separate it, and the month is the 11th, and today's date is the 16th. All right, and then I'm going to close the bracket, and I'm going to press enter. There we have it. The date has been inserted into our spreadsheet. I'm going to put another row here, and just to separate the date from the data. There you have it, guys. We have successfully used a sum function, an average function, minimum function, maximum function, counter function, and we have looked at the count function as well, and also we have examined the date function. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and enjoy the rest of your day.